Hi everyone, it's Lonnie, and I thank you for joining me today. Today I want to make some paper, and I will tell you straight off that I got this idea from Pam at the Paper Outpost, and I think it's a great idea because it allows you to use up all the little bits of scrap that are annoying and treasures at the same time, because you can use different mediums. You can use tissue paper, you can use just backdrops of things. I was working on a watercolor project on one piece of paper, and I like the color splotches, so I just chopped that up. Here's a remnant of an old doily. So basically all you need is those little things you would like to throw away but also want to keep at the same time. And then you need some kind of a base. I am still writing out scriptures, so I still have all these papers that I need to do something with. So another thing we need is watered down glue. Now I've got about 1/3 of water to 2/3 glue, and for water I actually used leftover coffee, so it gives it a bit of a tint. Totally optional, you can just use plain water if you like. Then an old paintbrush or brush. And so then what I will do is put some plastic underneath. These cereal bags leftovers work great because they've already been repurposed, so they will catch all the glue drips. So I've got my protection, I've got paper, and I'm just gonna start slowly applying glue a little bit at a time. I'll probably start at the bottom. That seems to work best for me. I was using what do you call it, the glue stick at first, but I figured I'm gonna cover it with this anyway, so why not just start with it from the get-go. So I'm just gonna line it up with the bottom because I would like a straight edge at the end. Doesn't overly matter because we're just gonna trim it anyway. I also have a damp piece of paper towel to just wipe my fingers once in a while. Alright, so I can put down another piece. Also, sometimes I have mishaps, papers that I've printed out that didn't work out in my project, so I'm gonna just load that in here as well. That one got ink spilled on it. I keep losing my cards for flattening things. I'll just use this. It's a piece of box cardboard. Okay, so then, yeah, you can just use anything and everything. I was gonna make labels out of these, but then I thought, why not throw them in here? And two, I was gonna overlap them a little bit, so I might have to apply a little more glue. It'll be fine. Okay. Okay, so I just be a little more generous. At the end, this has to dry anyway, so this is a nice project for basically any time, but when you've got stuff going on and you have, you know, it feels good to declutter, so that's what I'm doing today, just kind of working on decluttering some stuff. We're getting a fridge delivered this morning, so I just wanted something simple. And I love that you can just basically throw anything on here and it's gonna look amazing later. How do I know this? Because I already did one and I love it. And after we glue this one, we're going to check that one out, see what we can make with it. So if you're watching this today, it's Monday. So I hope y'all had a great weekend. Ours was rather quiet, but that's okay. Oh, now what am I doing? The wrong thing with the wrong tool. Okay, I'm just gonna wipe that off. That was supposed to stay clean. Okay. Try not to talk too much. Just trying to get as many air bubbles out as I can so that we have a nice piece later on. You can also put some fabric on here. Here's a little piece of Aida cloth, however you want to pronounce that. Might just need a little extra glue. Because we want texture. I always thought glue was too messy for me to bother with. Somehow when I started this junk journal journey, that changed. So as you can see, I'm not really sticking to my own rules about what tools go with what, but that's okay. And I'm forgetting to do some overlapping once in a while here. Don't really want to cover up the butterflies if I don't have to. Almost done. A couple more strips here. I like how it looks like absolute garbage when you start. Oh, see, this paper that I did my watercolor on, I already had used as scrap because my printer is giving me fits. So it was just putting all this blue ink on all my papers, so I couldn't really use them. So one more strip here. And then I'll show you the next step. Alright, so the next step is to basically just cover the whole thing with glue, water down glue. And the reason for that is what we're going to do next. See, I knew about laying down strips before, but it didn't work for me because all the little strips decided they didn't want to stay glued down for very long. They would like to pop up and just be rebellious. So I was super happy when I saw the solution to this. Alright, so the solution is, are you ready? A piece of napkin that you may have wanted to throw out, or that you wanted to keep but didn't know what to do with it. This is a dirty sheet from the backing of a napkin. It's the middle piece. And it's gonna, I mean, you could use regular tissue paper. You could use a clean napkin if that's all you had. But I wanted to use up this because it's gonna make this look, it's gonna add to the look of this. So I'm just gonna try and flatten it out a little bit. And it's gonna add an element to it, another layer of a design. And that's what I like about this, because you get, I mean, I'm not total grunge addict here, but sometimes I just like it a little grungy. Is that a thing? where there's, you know, there's more going on underneath, and I guess a little abstract. I don't know exactly how to describe it. I like a little, but not a lot. And this paper might actually look a little more grungy than I usually go for. But I think it's going to be fun in the end. So then we just spread out the glue. I'm trying not to rip it, but at the same time, if it was to happen, I would just go over it a bit. But see what this layer does, it seals in all the paper strips. And I'm just gonna try to flatten down the edges so they don't separate. Just make sure they're down on the paper, which sometimes sounds easier than it is. And two, if I have edges of the paper left over, what I do is, oh, look at that, there's actually two pieces. Oops. That was not my intention, but I didn't realize I had two. But you know what? It's not a big deal. It's just going to be a little bit thicker there. And in this case, thicker means stronger, I guess. So what I was just going to do is fold the excess over. But yeah, super forgiving project, and it uses up the stuff. And it becomes something useful. I don't know about you, but I don't really like buying expensive paper and then, you know, some of the things I've bought were not suitable for what I wanted to use them. Like some of that really expensive paper that I bought, I can't fold it because it cracks, and it cracks a lot. So that's not really convenient for me, and I kind of get mad at myself for spending the money on it, but I don't want to do that anymore. So this will help me make my own papers. And two, after this is done, I could come along and stamp on it with permanent, that stays on stuff, stays on ink. And add yet another layer. So there's so many possibilities. Alright, so I'm just gonna flatten this edge. Oh, and I see I've got another edge over on the other side. So yeah, after this dries, and it will take a while because there's quite a bit of glue and water. And yes, you can see the lines where I doubled up the tissue. It doesn't really bother me either, because once because this is like a mini masterboard once you cut it up and designate it for different things. Those edges will add, they might add to the piece. I don't think they're gonna take anything away. And that's just a little too stuck onto the plastic now, so don't really want to crumple up the paper on the edge. So maybe I won't fold that one over. I'll just end up cutting it off. I want it fairly smooth. You do what you like. If you like it crumpled up at the end, and you know how to do that now. But I still like it kind of smooth. So then I'll just end up cutting that piece off after it dries. Okay, so the bottom is not completely wet, which is good. I'm just gonna lift it up temporarily and then put it back down. Just hopefully it doesn't stick too much later on. And then I'm going to clean up, and I will put this to the side. Okay, so I put that one on a flat surface to the side to dry. And then I can get rid of these. I used up a lot of scraps doing that, because if you saw the pile I had, there's hardly any left. Not even enough for another sheet, so I think that works really well. Okay, so this was my first one, and I did this one yesterday. Too, with the paper that I used as a base, the back side would make for nice journaling cards, because it's got the lines and people can write on it. This one's a little more plain. The napkin I used had some green on it, so that's showing through. Also, I had some coffee dyed paper, so it gave the dark brown here, or the beige. I had one piece of digital that had flowers on it, and so this one's fairly plain, and yet I think it'll make a nice backdrop for something. So then we just have to decide what we want to do with it. So, you know, we basically, or whatever you imagine you could do. Pockets, belly bands, journal cards. If you were making a small journal, this might even make a nice cover. Look at that. So this one is just paper. I didn't add any other textures to it. So, like I said, it's fairly plain. I'm still thinking what I want to do with it. It's roughly 8.5 by 11 inches, so if I did it in half, actually that's something I just gave myself an idea. I use that piece because something I was thinking of doing was making little notebooks for the journals that I'm making right now. And I think it's a little thick, but I think it could work. Let me just see. I didn't completely cut it straight there. And it's a little difficult to fold. But we can reapply some glue there, not a big deal either. And then see which way is straight. Oops. I'll have to trim that down a bit over here. Not too difficult. Maybe cut it while it's open, or trim it while it's open. Okay, like I said, this was my first one, so maybe I didn't get quite enough glue on it. So let me just get that brush back and I'll glue it back down. It's gonna add some. It's a nice world when your problems can be solved with a little paper and glue, isn't it? I mean, I like it. Okay. But now this will probably be too wet for me. I'm going to keep going. So then what I need is some paper. To put inside our notebook. Okay, so I had some scrap paper. I just needed to trim it down. I got rid of the little bit of writing that was on there. So this is recycled paper, and I think it's a great way to use up these things. So I have it, you know, so that it fits inside the cover, and it's too wide. So what I'm going to do is trim these papers a little bit more. Okay, so that will have a nice little border around the edge of it. And so I think what I want to do is round these corners. Maybe do one at a time. And then maybe what I would like to do is just trim the edges a bit more, because I'm seeing it's a little uneven. Not a huge deal, but you know, when you go to the trouble of making something, I want it to look nice. So then, do I want to add something to the cover that I need to think about before I put the paper in? Let's look at it again, see if anything changed after I trimmed it. I could also round the corners on those papers. And I think I'm actually going to do that. First I'll fold them in half. And I'll do it with my bone folder so I get a nice crease. Okay, so I'm going to round the corners and get my needle and thread, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so you need a little bit of a bigger needle if you're going to use something like wax thread, which I'm using. And I have my embroidery needle. Not embroidery, it was for crocheting, yeah. Okay, so then I've got my papers. So I was counting them. I have 9 pieces, so double that. This will be 18 pages long or thick. So I need roughly a hole through the middle, another hole on top, and another hole towards the bottom. All right, I think I'm gonna start in the middle and the inside. You could start on the outside if you wanted. Then go through the top. Must find the hole. This is the trickiest part. And there we go. Sorry for all the back and forth. Okay, this is a good way to practice your signature sewing if you're unfamiliar. Make sure I have that single threaded, and then go back in the middle and being careful not to split anything. And I have way too much thread, but that's okay. Just gonna trim that little for now. And then I'm going to make sure that the thread is taut there. I was thinking it would be nice to add like a little charm or something. Then I tie a square knot. Okay, so that's the structure done. I'm gonna leave these dangling for now in case I do decide. I've got a little repair job that I need to do here. But isn't that cute? It's like a little mini journal. And I think we're gonna put our verse in here today, because it's going into like a Bible verse journal. My joy journal, yeah, that's it. I'm just thinking what I want to put on here. do I want to make like a cover for it? Oh yeah, that's another thing. I was going to, oops. I was going to ink around the little journal. Can still do that. Just around the outside. That was vintage photo. And then they can write on here. I'm just going to ink this a bit more so it stands out a bit more. Maybe it's a little big, but I use that satiny looking paper. Could make it a bit smaller, or I could make another one that's a bit smaller. Maybe I'll do that. That color would go nicely. Just have to go smaller, maybe half. Little trim there. I'll do the trim there, corner around there. Yeah, and then I just need something for the top. What do I have? I think I'm just gonna trim this up a bit. I'll save this for something else. That way, if they do want to write on it to give it a title, they can. Oops, just contaminated it because I wanted the darker color. That's okay. Anyway, so I'm just gonna outline this. If I had a teeny tiny little stamp, I would probably put something on the corners or on the edges. I do have teeny tiny little stamps. I just don't know where they are right at this second. I mean, I do know where they are. I just don't want to dig for them. So what I'm gonna do is just there. All right, so then that will be our sort of a makeshift book plate. Okay, so then I feel like I want to put a verse in here. And I don't know where it's found, but we're gonna make it a simple one today. I'll start them off. I will write with my ruler as a guide. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. I'm going to leave it there for now. They can either put more verses in there, or I was thinking of making like a prayer list type of thing. This could be used as a little prayer book. Up to them, however they want to use that. So that. Let's see, what can I do with these? I found my charms. I was thinking maybe a cross. Oh, there's a key. That would be nice. Oh, this one. I think it's got to be this one. If I can get it through there. Don't want it hanging too low. But I do want it underneath. So something like that, I guess. Okay, another square knot. Something like that. Okay, then this one can be trimmed. And this one can, I almost cut it in the wrong spot. There. Okay. It's a little lower than if I tie one more. There we go. Looks like a little book with a dove and a cross, so that will work perfectly. All right, so that is that project done. Now I just have to make 3 more of those because I'm making 4 journals and I want to put one in each. So there you go. That is what you can do with just recycled stuff. The only thing new here is the thread I used and the little charm. So there you go. It's amazing what you can do with recycled things. So I thank you for watching today, and I wish you a blessed week. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.